Hello everyone, we welcome you out to the new bridge that we have that is coming along here in Dublin, Lawrence County. We're here with GDOT representative for us, Kyle Collins. Kyle,
Yes.
Your title is Communication Specialist?
Yes, Communication Specialist for 27 counties of Department of Transportation District.
Well, we've caught up with the right person, ladies and gentlemen. We
Hopefully.
can get a lot of information today. Kyle, thank you so much for letting us come out and look at this. This is not something that the average person is going to be able to view for quite some time.
Right.
This is a major project, a $12.6 million project.
Yeah, it's about a $13 million project to create and build. As you can see behind us, is starting to come together a new Oconee River Bridge crossing here just outside of Dublin.
Okay, let's think back now, Kyle. We were talking a little bit earlier, and many of you will remember throughout the community the groundbreaking on that chilly day in 2015?
Right. I think we had an incredible high of maybe 15 degrees. Wind chill was probably worse than that.
Yes.
So, yeah, January 2015, we sort of had a celebratory groundbreaking. I know there was a lot of local citizens, local elected officials, and also state representation, senators, and folks from our GDOT board to celebrate the occasion, to really get this project moving. So it was a fun day for everybody.
Yeah, we had a lot of people there, a lot of people from, as you say, GDOT, but tell me about the initiative to have this bridge built. A lot of people would say, well, that's coming from our T-Splash money. Well, it's a little more than that.
Right. A lot of the main funding is from a federal source, but it also has state money, which is through the T-Splash, which is the Transportation Splash, also known as the Transportation Investment Act. We have a lot of acronyms in DOT. We call it a TIA-assisted project. So without those state funds that voters put into motion there in 2012, this project would not happen.
Okay, so who is on the TIA board for us in this area?
Well, the TIA office is kind of a subdivision of the Department of Transportation, so they work hand in hand with us. Our local representative, I believe, would be Don Grantham as far as our GDOT board member representation. So they're involved with a lot of the kind of the nuts and bolts and promoting some of these projects and listening to the citizens, the local officials, to kind of bring up to our general office and the TIA office, what needs to be done. So.
And this is the Oconee region, the Okmulgee region?
It is the Heart of Georgia Altamaha region. So it's one of the 3 regions that passed the T-Splash referendum back in 2012.
So there was money out there, and our area actually voted for it, and this is one of the projects. Now there's several others that are going on, some resurfacing and things, but this will actually have a major impact on our community, Kyle, as you probably discovered.
Right. We think so. Anytime you have an additional crossing to get over a body of water when it comes to emergency response, or if something were to happen closer into town on that particular bridge, it's kind of an overflow location where folks have that alternate means to get to and from, East Dublin, get to downtown, and really for just overall traffic operations, we think it's going to be a positive.
Probably help you out as well, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure I can, kind of coming from Washington County, I can hop over on this side and get in Dublin as well.
So you have Troutland, Washington, you have Johnson County, you have Ben Hall and Thunder Springs area that'll be using this a lot.
Right.
They'll save probably half the time in order to get to the northern part of our county,
Yes,
to
sir.
the shopping area, the hospital, doctor's offices, things like that. It's also a major factor in being able to bring in a lot of employees for us as industries begin to come back into the area or into the area. So that helps our community development a lot. But a project like this is really massive.
Right.
The preparation work, the opportunities that you have to work in windows of time. So let's speak to that just for a moment, so people understand what is involved here from the very start. Once the decision's made to fund it, there are a lot of studies, there are a lot of pre-work done before the actual labor part of putting into pylons, building the bridge.
Right, for sure. That's a lot of kind of what we want to get across to the public, is there's more than just getting out here, doing the clearing and building a project. There's years of preparation that go into analyzing, designing the project itself, but also seeing what historical, environmental, cultural resources are on the location to make sure that we are good stewards of the environment, specifically in this case, having the Oconee River here. So when we got started, I think land disturbing activities started towards the end of January 2015. So, we're approaching a year and a quarter or 2 years total. But for a period of time from December 2015 through to the middle of June of this year, the contractors were actually unable to disturb the river bottom due to some endangered species of fish. I know we just talked about 2 of them. I can't remember them off the top of my head right now, but that's something to be noted. Yes, it may take the project a little longer, but that's something that we want to, again, be good stewards of, to not disturb those environmental resources.
So it's a mating time, it's a breeding season for those fish, distinctive fish to our Oconee River.
Yes.
And you were unable, no one was able to do any work at that
time. No disruption of the river bottom itself. So they could do stuff as far as the roadway is concerned. You know, we're talking about a 2.3 to 2.5 mile length of project, so they're able to do other general grading and maybe bridge work, like you see to the side and behind us leading up. But as far as disturbing the river, they were not able to do that for that period of time.
Okay, and even prior to that, when you look at what we've heard for years is the Blackshear Ferry.
Right.
That area has a lot of historical value.
Yes.
Well, when you're going to build anything, virtually anywhere, and you're going to bore in, you're going to disturb the ground, you have to do a lot of studies. You have to
surveys,
be approved by many
yes.
surveys and studies before. So even at that aspect, that Blackshear Ferry area there that we've all known and loved for years, many people have been down to it and enjoyed the river at that point, will not be disturbed at all.
Right, it's just technically outside the project limits, and throughout the whole time we were able to maintain access to that location for folks to get down to the boat ramp. So that was just outside the project limits, but again, something that we're cognizant of to make sure we don't mess with that great resource.
So how long will the 2-lane bridge be here?
The bridge is going to be around 1,300 feet total, so it's a pretty tremendous, impressive structure.
Yeah. All right, and so, when you start to build a bridge of this size, you got to haul in a lot of dirt.
Yes.
You got to build a pre-bridge, a work
bridge, so the equipment and the cranes can get out there to work. Yes.
So many factors involved. But you got about how many people out here working each day?
At a given time, we got our prime contractor, Gregory Bridge, which is out of Eatonton. The subcontractors, which can include grading experts and also environmental experts. We're looking maybe between 20 or 30 folks at a given time. And I guess if you add it up, by the time this project's done, you mentioned man hours. I mean, you're talking thousands and thousands of man hours. A lot of times, probably 7 days a week in some instances to try to push and get this thing done as we get down the way when it comes to paving and final topping and whatnot.
And again, Kyle, when a tax comes up like T-Splash, many people say absolutely not, but they do not realize how important those T-Splash and that investment on our local level is to having money put into our community on a state and a federal level.
Right, and that T-Splash, again, we have to applaud the Heart of Georgia voters. We have 6 of those counties in our district. That gives you 75% of those funds on that penny tax go into larger regional type projects in the heart of Georgia. 25% goes back to the local entity, whether that be the city of Dublin, Lawrence County, to do whatever they like. They can put that as an augment to LMIG funds to do additional roadway resurfacing, or maybe replace some local bridges that have been needing it for a while. So it gives you the flexibility and freedom to improve your transportation infrastructure. So yeah, the T-Splosh has been a game changer for those regions that passed it.
It's huge for our community, for our development, ladies and gentlemen, for the economic development. So just want to make that point again. Now, since you have so much work going on out here, people working, could you pull someone, maybe we could speak to someone who is actually on the job?
Yes, we have our project manager actually, Mr. Bob Dixon, who works hand in hand with GDOT through AMEC Foster Wheeler, and he's been on this project since the beginning. He kind of knows the nuts and bolts and makes sure everything is up to par as far as the construction is concerned.
All right, we'll take a short break and be back with Mr. Bob Dixon.
The Ice House is a beautifully restored warehouse in downtown Dublin that mixes Southern grace and history with an urban modern flair. Book your next special event today at 278-7224. The Ice House, downtown Dublin.
All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, we are with the project engineer, Bob Dixon. Many of you may know Bob from the community at large, but Bob, what a massive project. We were talking about on the way in here, how much dirt you've actually hauled and moved around out here.
On this project, the way the department separates it. There's about 200,000 cubic yards of unclassified material which is moved around on site, and then there's also 220,000 yards of material that is fill material that is built primarily on the west side of the bridge.
Does that include the rocks and things you got for drainage below, or for keeping it from washing below the bridge?
No, those are separate items that are included as part of the bridge items. And most of them are in place on the Dublin side of the river. All the riprap and the structures at the bottom of the bridge are in place, and we're about 60% complete with those type structures on the East Dublin side.
And as far as the whole project, about how far along are you percentage-wise?
Well, percentage-wise, with the whole project, we're about 60% complete at this time.
What besides the mandated setbacks, if you don't mind, such as not disturbing the fish, which, by the way, there were two kinds of fish that we have here in the Oconee River, and you had about a 5 or 6 month period where you couldn't disturb those. What kind of fish were those again?
The two fish, one of which is a red horse robust fish, and a sturgeon, are the two species of fish that are involved in environmental restrictions.
What kind of bait we use for that? and then from there, now what else maybe set you back? Because you come along and you're building a bridge like this, you're building things of this magnitude, you're going to come upon a rock, something that's going to slow you down and set you back. What type of things have we faced?
Well, primarily with the bents that are in the river, we encountered rock in trying to place the piles, which required some redesign and a different solution to be able to get the piles to achieve the elevation that we needed. It's based on the plans.
Yeah, and obviously you follow the letter of the law on the plans. It has to be exact. So when you start a project like this, first thing you do is what?
Well, the first thing that has to be done is the permits and all have to be in place, and then just prior to clearing the area, then the environmental people are called in. So we have to place the environmental silt fence, and the BMPs is what we call the items that have to be placed out there as the clearing begins, and then right behind the clearing we're required to mulch and grass, or just mulch as we go forward with the clearing operation. Prior to any grading that begins.
To keep drainage, to keep it from draining or running off.
Yeah, to contain any kind of loss of silt or anything else that may leave the project.
Okay, so you have that done, and then what would be next? You got to set a foundation for the...
Well, depending on the different phases of these type projects, the grading can begin first, primarily. They're moving dirt in staging areas, which would be the mass haul of the material that has to be moved around on site, as permits are procured for the bar areas. They're bar pits that have to be procured to be able to haul material to the project, and it has to be approved. And then the bridge, a lot of times can begin even prior to having dirt moved up to the area where the end of the bridges are. And that was started here on this project, and there's a lot of, as you can see behind us, there's a lot of columns, there's a lot of footings, and a lot of substructure work that has to begin to be brought up, and that's ongoing. Okay,
so the columns coming along here, are they spaced in any routine way? I mean, I'm sure structurally the way it is, but it looks like they're about, 50 feet apart in the middle?
Yeah, they're followed by the design that was given by the Bridge Department of the State of Georgia, and that's what Gregory is following, and that's what we check for.
And you mentioned Gregory. That's Gregory Bridge Builders out of Edenton, right?
Gregory Bridge Company from Edenton, Georgia.
And so you have a couple of other contractors, I'm sure, out here that you're responsible for. Yeah, and so you have, 25 or so men on site most days?
At any one time, we have up to 20, 25, depending on the type of work that has to be done that day.
Been any surprises on this project?
No, the only thing that we did kind of see last year, at the end of last year at the Christmas time, everybody in the area knows about it, was the amount of flooding that was actually actually here at the time. It got up, the river got up to maybe like the second or third highest in the last 30 or 40 years. So it stayed like that for a couple of weeks, which was kind of unusual. You know, we had a lot of rain, and then I think they opened several gates at the lake that really brought a lot of water this way. It usually takes about 2 or 3 days to show up here.
Yeah.
But that was probably the biggest surprise.
So everything else, you know, looks to go upon schedule. You know, we have some extra time. It'll actually be when the project's completed.
Right now, the current completion date is in July of 2017.
All right. Who's going to be the first one across the bridge, Bob? You?
I probably won't be the first one, but there'll be several people cross it first.
Yeah.
But I believe there'll be a lot of people wanting to cross it.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's a much needed, anticipated, and will cut a tremendous amount of time off. I don't know where you live in the county, but of course, anyone out on the country club area, anyone coming from that direction is going to save a tremendous amount of time. Anyone coming off 441 to bypass or what have you out that way, save a tremendous amount of time if they headed over towards Sandersville or anywhere on the east side for that matter. Yeah. Thank you so much for your work. We appreciate what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This is the Century 21 team, and we're here to help you win your game. George Durden.
Ann Adams.
Ruth Watson.
Charlene Lamb.
Delton Lamb.
Jay Brantley.
Raina Dubberly. Leanne Walker. Jody Tanner.
Beverly Forbes.
Pam Tillery. Yvonne Robertson.
Benny Helton.
David Deeves.
Jim Jarrett. Put the Century 21 team to work for you today.
All right, we welcome you back, ladies and gentlemen. Kyle, back with Kyle Collins. And Kyle, thank you so much for allowing us to talk to the engineer on site. A wealth of knowledge and a lot of hard work going on out here for sure. A lot of progress has been made. Are
Yes,
there
sir.
other areas that we can look forward to?
I think this is a great example. Like we said, we talked about the T-SPLOST investment, the transportation infrastructure. Once this project gets done, you know, into the summer of 2017, there's also additional projects that some folks may have already been witnessing here in the Dublin and Lawrence County area. Additional mowing, we're actually doing additional cycle on the state routes and also the interstates, mowing and litter pickup, which has gone through area 2, which is the Dublin area. Yes. Also some additional patching, some strip sealing, some crack sealing on the roadways. And additionally, a few years down the line, we actually have a public hearing October 3rd at the Fall Line Technical College to describe plans for some widening on 441 on the McRae side of the I-16 interchange. So about 4 miles total is a proposed project, so we encourage folks to come out October 3rd and kind of see the plans, and we'd love to break down kind of the future of some of the additional projects going on in the Dublin area.
Kyle, it's been good to get to know you all at GDOT. Y'all have an open door policy. Y'all
Oh, yes.
Welcome us in and want to share the information with the community. If someone has a question, should they go on a website, give you a call? Or
I would suggest, I know a lot of folks are on social media these days. We have a Facebook and a Twitter presence if you just look up Georgia Department of Transportation. And also I would direct folks to our website, which is dot.ga.gov. You can learn a wealth of knowledge, research projects, see some other initiatives we have going on. That's probably the best way. And also we have local office here in Dublin on 441. Folks are welcome to swing by, and also our main district office in Tennille. So we do have an open door policy. We work for the citizens. We're a state agency. We're here first and foremost for y'all and for safety of the state. So.
Yeah. And GDOT is 100 years strong.
Oh, yeah.
That's tremendous. They got it down,
We made it.
ladies and gentlemen. That's right, a century, and all the progress going on in our community. You know, our hats off to you for sure at GDOT because of what you are providing for us. This opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, if T-Splash will allow this type of thing to happen in our community, we would encourage you to vote for anything that comes along like that.
Right. Perfect.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks for coming out.
All right. Thank you for joining us right here.